Welcome back to Between Two FARS. I am Warnke Miller here again with two of the most amazing procurement attorneys that NASA has to offer, Mark and Bob Tepfer. And we are talking about GAO bid protests. And today we're kind of talking about the ugly underside of a GAO bid protest. What happens when the protest is sustained and you get a direction for corrective action from the GAO? What options do you have? What are the things that you need to think about? Gentlemen, what do? You've just gotten that decision from the GAO. What now?
Well, I think the first thing you do is read the decision. What did we do wrong? What did the GAO think we did wrong? Go through it carefully and talk to the CO, talk to the SEB about this. Understand, make them understand, here's what they say we did wrong. They don't have to like it. They don't even have to agree with it, but it's a decision. We're going to have to do it. Okay, now that we understand what the GAO is saying we did wrong, what do we need to do to address those concerns? And that can be a wide range of things. It could be as simple as, okay, you didn't evaluate it the way you said you were going to, so now evaluate it the way you said you were going to do so. But it may mean that you have to amend the RFP in some way, shape, or form, and then do a new evaluation. It may be that you only evaluate some aspect of the proposals and not the entire proposal. And if it was really bad, you may have to swap out people on the board. I think both Bob and I have been in situations where I was in one where the entire board and the SSA had to go. So,
what would be a scenario look like where that would be something you should consider?
I think you could have a conflict of interest argument that would show up. You could have maybe statements are revealed that somebody was predisposed to a particular contractor, and you could have issues of not sufficient expertise with regard to it. I've seen actually where they've had, and I don't want to say convene a board, but have folks get together for several meetings to try to scrutinize whether or not the board itself needed to have folks removed, not because they necessarily did anything wrong, but because whatever the direction was at the GAO, realistically, the only fix that could be made that would look credible to a third party was to have some folks removed and other people put in their place. Now, having said that, that creates a different atmosphere if there are folks that are still remaining, and that's why sometimes the entire board is moved out, because their argument, or at least their perception, is that you punish somebody, and I think that we were right the first time around. And that's not a good thing to have happen, because then you got to remove everybody and kind of start all over. That is kind of a difficult situation, and I think, you know, everybody would agree you kind of have to go back and speak to the group and explain we have to be even-handed, we have to be fair, and as Michael was saying, we have to follow the direction that we were given in good faith to the best of our ability.
And what might that direction look like? What would a reevaluation possibly look like?
There might be something like, for instance, some aspect of adverse past performance that was corrected, that in some fashion, could involve personalities, could involve a variety of things, could have, or some argument could be made that it overflowed into other areas, and that perhaps somebody on the board didn't get along with the contractor and they might not have had a valid basis. And how do you clear something like that up and look in good faith like you did? Because a lot of these things which involve personalities are very difficult to fix without the folks leaving. So
now, what if the GAO tells you, okay, the protester made a good point, go back and reevaluate the protester's offer in accordance with the language in this decision? Well, what does the board do?
The issue there, it comes up, is being even-handed from the standpoint of not focusing and, quote, fixing the one particular proposal without examining whether or not treatment is consistent throughout all the evaluation process. And that has to be very carefully examined, because if you do, one particular proposal differently based upon the direction that you receive or perceive that that's what it means, you certainly have to make certain that you fix the other ones as well, if that's the right term. They have to be evaluated consistently.
Yeah, one of the things we always have to remember is the GAO is zealous about protecting the integrity of the procurement process. So that means that we have to treat everybody fairly. We have to treat them in a similar fashion. So if you're looking back at one offeror's proposal, because that's the one, obviously the one that protest, you need to probably think, do we need to look at this aspect with regard to everybody else so that we're still apples to apples? And that's an important thing that we need to keep in mind. It doesn't just apply to the protester, it applies to everybody who was an offeror that we evaluated. Another thing that comes up in these contexts, obviously, is the attorney's fees. And we've had situations there, you're going to see a bill, and it's probably going to be eye-watering. Look at the bill, and if you don't think something is right, question it. And we did that in a protest where we had to sustain. The bill was way over $30,000, but there was some double charging, and there were some things in there that didn't look like they pertained to the protest. And we questioned them, and the law firm did take them out. So we were not pugnacious about it. We said, we don't understand this. It doesn't look like it's right, and it looks like you build it here and you build it there. And they did back off. So, but we need to understand that there's going to be a large bill that accompanies the reevaluation that we're going to do. And it's not just the cost of us doing the evaluation, it's the cost of the winning protester reimbursing its attorneys. So those are the kinds of things that I think you need to be concerned about. Again, it's the fairness of that process and addressing the things that the GAO expressed concerns about. So keep that in mind and tell everybody to stay calm. It's the old British thing, keep calm and carry on. That's not a bad thing to keep in mind. It's hard, but it's important.
That's true. You'll get through it. Corrective action after a sustain is not an enjoyable experience, but you're not the first ones to go through it. And there's a wealth of assistance available to you here at NASA. Reach out to your local attorney's office or to some of the other centers who may have experienced recent losses for guidance and for direction. Keep calm and carry on. Until next time, Between Two FARS. Bye-bye.